ERStudio, an enterprise approach to data. ERStudio allows you to design and document data assets. We take a structured approach to this design process, so requirements come in whatever form, and we can harden those requirements into a logical data model, a business-friendly representation of the data. So the data architect and the stakeholder will collaborate and produce the logical model. The logical model is independent of the technology. So after an approval gate, we then generate a physical model for that particular technology, whether it be a relational database or a JSON file. And during that process, we can apply naming standards suitable for that technology. Again, modifications to the physical model, including the specific features of that model, will be included. And then from there, after an approval gate, we'll then generate code. And then a change iteration might start. So requirements will change. We'll then modify the logical data model with the stakeholder. And then there'll be another approval gate. We'll then compare the logical model with the physical model and propagate changes to that physical model, controlling those changes. We'll then modify the physical model, again another approval gate, and then we can compare that physical model with the live database, generating suitable alter scripts and then change that database. But each design project can't be done in isolation. We need some sort of standardization and consistency across our projects, whether those projects are an application design project or the data warehouse. So we can use a common data model of reusable components to drive each project. The enterprise data model contains those common patterns, and we might split it down into a single enterprise conceptual model and then an enterprise logical model. The conceptual model has the main concepts for each subject area or domain in the organization. The enterprise logical model will then have more detail, giving us standard definitions of important information like customer, with the standard way that we identify a customer and important attributes and their definitions. And these common models, again, are technology independent. They're business models in business language, and they really are a model of how the business works. Here's an example of an enterprise model in ERStudio. Over on the left, we can see that we've split the organization down into different subject areas or domains. Here in the sales domain, we can see all the information that sales is concerned with. So we have orders, commission payments, employees, which are in this case salespeople, and the products that the orders are for. And we can see these business data objects represent a notion of ownership. So in this domain, sales owns these pieces of information, but is concerned with these other pieces of information owned by other domains. We can use these common models to then drive the designs of our data assets. In this case, we've got a relational database that we're trying to design, so we can pull those common entities from our enterprise model and then use that to design the physical model. For a JSON schema here, we use exactly the same process. We pull the logical entities from our enterprise model or common model, and then ERStudio will then generate a physical model representing that JSON schema. For documenting an asset, similar sort of process, but in reverse. So we can reverse engineer the database. ERStudio will then create a physical model of that database and automatically then create a logical model. And then we can map the logical model back to our enterprise model. In this case, the project talks about an entity or a concept called client, and we've mapped that to our enterprise, our standard definition of customer. And this model becomes really useful because then we can ask the basic questions: where is customer data? Or looking at a specific asset and saying, what does this piece of data mean? These data models can also drive data governance. So in ERStudio, we can take our common business models and harvest business terms from them, not only harvesting the names and the definitions, but the relationships between them. In an example here that's been harvested, we can see that we've got a business term called party, and the party has a taxonomy of subtypes. In ERStudio, you can then map those business terms to your data models, producing a complete data catalog. ERStudio works with your data governance tool like Calibra or Purview, and we can synchronize those business glossaries with either your data governance tool or ERStudio being the master for those terms. We can then push the data models to your data governance tool, to your data catalog, along with the mappings to the business terms. And we can push both logical and physical data models. ERStudio gives you an enterprise approach to data. It gives you an effective and controlled design process, and we support many data asset types to allow you to design both application databases and your data warehouse or lakehouse. These common models will drive consistency and standardize your data across different projects to ensure interoperability. And the tool being tightly coupled with your data governance tool, your data catalog, means we can kickstart your data governance process and then make your data governance processes actionable. For more information, contact us at salesidea.com.